Why am I not live?
It says we are, but
But not on the
over
excellent
here, not just
connection.
the number counted down on yours, but not on mine. I
Oh,
don't
I
know if
think
that
it's
means
working
anything.
finally. There we are. I see us. I finally see us. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Road to the Show with Al and Ro. I am one of your hosts, Alan Kay, and I am always here with the beautiful Miss Robin Evans. How are you today?
I am feeling great, man. It's hump day. I hit a back workout today. We got a special
Oh,
guest. It's a good
yeah.
day.
So on hump day, you were working on your back hump, is what I'm trying. Oh man, that sounded way better up here until I said it, and it didn't go that
These
well.
humps right here.
Dim homes right there.
Traps.
Okay, untrapped them thing. Anyway, so today's show, we are going to interview and give a highlight to the Natural Fit Federation, the NFF, and we got the owner, Larry. I forgot his last name already. Larry. That was bad. Larry Shaw. That's it. Larry Shaw. That's what it was. And then after we get through with talking about what we can find out about the NFF Super Show and the Federation of itself, we're going to talk about some of the athletes that from the past events and the current events, as well as some of the amateurs, which Robin did a little bit of digging, and I can't wait to hear about that. And then we're going to wrap it up with a last but not least, a really interesting situation that Robin shared on her Instagram, Robin Fit After 6. And I wanted to bring that up because it brings up a lot of instances where we can grow from, especially when it comes to our ego, acting out of our ego. And sometimes, especially during things like prep brain and prep week, that's how that goes. But anyways, I also wanted to talk about why we're doing this again so everybody understands the gist of what me and Robin are doing, our vision for this, and why we like to bring on different federations and their owners. Robin, do you want to kind of lead with that and let's kind of go from there real quickly before we bring Larry on?
Well, our slogan, Alan, is voicing community. Community over competition. At the end of the day, we are athletes. It's about the competition, but sometimes a lot of things get in the way. We want to make sure that our community is still growing and building instead of so much of our egos. Or, it's not being so much about the competition, but more about the community. And that's why we're spotlighting shows and the athletes and trying to keep it about the community.
I like that. Yep. And for me, I see an array of massive influencers, massive sources of inspiration, which are all of the athletes in the sport in an era where we are 70% either fat or obese, where people are looking for better health measures, not only with physical health, but with mental and emotional health. In my honest opinion, there is no better community to highlight to empower people into a better version of themselves than that of natural bodybuilding, especially when there's an array of people that are afraid of PEDs, as they should, abusing PEDs. And it seems like right now, if you weren't aware of the natural bodybuilding community, that the only way to achieve what we consider to be an elite physique is to only use PEDs. But as we know in this community, that's not true. That if you just better your habits, better some mindsets and behaviors, that anyone could do this. Now, not everyone could be Eric Shelton. Not everyone could be Carolina. Not everyone could be Michael Jadozzi or Miss Courtney Spaeth. But you can be that version of yourself, and there is no better way to learn that in natural bodybuilding. So,
Well, I mean, if you're doing it the natural way, you can continue to try to grow to be those great athletes. And as long as you are doing it naturally, the longevity will be there. So, nothing against the PED people, but we want the longevity. You want good quality of life while we're growing as athletes.
correct. Correct. I definitely want to add this on too. I have nothing against PEDs. I'm against abusing PEDs and using PEDs for the sake of impression and not for the utilization of what it was originally created for. So I just want to make that clear. And Robin, you asked this of me, so I will lead this segment with asking you a question. Robin, have you ever heard of Murphy's Law?
Yes, I have. I'm I can't
So
remember
Murphy's
it.
Law. No, it's whatever could go wrong, does go wrong. Have you ever heard of Cole's Law?
No.
It's thinly sliced cabbage. So anyways, so Eddie, guys, I am going to bring on our guest, Mr. Larry Shaw.
While I recovered from Alan's dad joke.
Oh, my God.
Just
All right.
went
Now,
in on me without me even
we're going to go this. All right. I'm going to bring him in. Yay! There you are. Hold up. I hit an audience clap. All right. All right.
Hey guys.
Let's get him. Come on. Let's get him in. Let's get him in. Maybe I could do a little audience clapping. Never mind. Can you hear us, Larry? Can you? There you are. Can you hear me? Like, are you talking? Can you? Oh, there you are. All right. Whew. I just want to make sure we're good. Larry, thank you for joining us today, man. How are you? I'm doing well.
Great,
I'm
Alan.
doing well. I'm really excited to talk to you. I know Robin is as well, because I actually, real quickly, guys, I didn't know, this is my bad. Well, I always claim Robin to be a sister, but I didn't know that she was actually a pro of this federation until I asked her about the federation. But Robin, yeah, can you kind of go into what got you in this federation, and then let's start, pegging Larry with all these questions about the NFF.
Well, I just want to give a quick shout out to Isaac and Corey Tibbs, because I knew nothing about the NFF until I talked to those guys. I knew about it when Corey was advertising. First of all, Isaac was doing an excellent job in covering the Dallas Showdown, as well as spotlighting the NFF Super Show. And then Corey did the Chi-Town Showdown. And so I got an invitation from Corey doing that show, and that's how I found out about the NFF. So it was a ball. I had a ball. It was a great show. Larry was there. Just a good, well-rounded, put-together show. Very intimate, which is what I actually have learned to like. The big sensational shows are cool, but the intimate settings are very, I like those too. And I had a good time.
Ooh.
Swept the show.
Okay. So is there a little bias of why you like this federation there? I'm just gonna ask it. I'm just saying. No? Okay. Yeah, but
I love your hair too, by the way, Larry.
Hey, just a little something different. I cut the dreads, and then I think I had a little bit of remorse, and now I'm trying to bring them back. So.
Oh, there we go. Fresh start.
And real
Love
quick, I want everybody, because I was talking to Larry about what's going to actually end up happening, not only for the show, but Larry is a regular guy with regular job. And kind of, Larry, can you tell me what you were shared with me before we got on this? Yeah, please.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a regular guy, regular job. I work in IT. I'm an IT architect. And so, bodybuilding, it's a passion, it's a hobby, it's philanthropy. It's, what my wife and I do on the side, but full-time IT job. So, after the Super Show, I'm going straight to work. I've got a huge data center migration to work through. So, when everybody else gets to go out and grab something to eat, I'm probably going to be somewhere on a laptop, into, I don't know, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, no sleep. So it's going to be a long weekend, for me. But hey, we do what we got to do.
And I wanted him to talk about that because, the one thing I love about our community is a lot of us do this for the love of the sport and for the love of the athletes. And look, I love you guys. I don't know how many times I would stay up 36 hours to run a show for you guys. You know what I mean? But yeah, Larry, can you kind of also go into how did NFF start? Tell me how everything went, because I think that's a pretty cool story as well.
Yeah, so kind of the backstory for the NFF. If we go back, I don't know, probably 12, 13 years, a lot of the shows in the Texas area were affiliated or sanctioned by another organization. And at that time, some of the promoters said, hey, you know what, we're looking to kind of go a different route, all right? And then the NFF was started by an individual named David Nall, right, in 2015. And so from there, we hit the ground running. A lot of those, like I said, those shows that were pre-existing, they just kind of, I call it switch flags, for lack of a better term. And then, the NFF took off and running. And then I acquired ownership of the NFF in 2019. And so with my co-owner, Todd Tanner, who lives in Houston, okay? And so we've just been rolling, ever since, trying to grow the organization, try to have a unique and innovative product out there for the athletes to pick from, because we know there's a lot of choices. And so we try to come up with things that differentiate our product from the others. It's kind of like when you go in a grocery store and you're grabbing a box of cereal off the shelf. You got to find something that differentiates your product from the others. And so that's what, we do. That's what we try to harp on, giving athletes something different, listen to the athletes. What is it that they want? It's not about what we want as a league, as owners. It's about what the athletes want to consume as a product. So that's what we're all about.
Well, Robert, I know you have a couple of questions from definitely
that.
from an athlete perspective. Let's start opening that can of worms,
Actually, not even from an athlete perspective. This just popped in my head. Who came up with the name NFF?
NFF,
I mean, it makes sense.
Right. So originally, Naturally Fit Federation, right? And so it was all about being naturally fit for life. And you'll see that. That's our Instagram tag, right? Naturally fit for life, right? That was the whole tagline, all right, for it. And so, it started off, we had a modeling agency. It's still out there, Naturally Fit, modeling agency. And the agency does very well, as well. And so what we did was we took our bodybuilding league and kind of spun that off and said, okay, we've got the agency, on one side, and now we have the bodybuilding league, the federation, on the other. So that's where it is. It's just that simple, but trying to be naturally fit for life.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense to me. I want to be fit for life.
That's the goal, right? I think that's what we're all trying to, aim for, right? That's the challenge.
Yes.
No, but so I was asking. So the majority of your what's the word I'm looking for? Competitions are in Texas, correct? And I feel like I'm not in Texas. I'm not in that, but I feel like there's a huge fitness culture that's kind of developing in Texas right now. Would you say that's correct?
I mean, yeah, but I think it's always been here. I mean, Texas is just such a large geographic territory, right? I mean, it's 12 hours to drive across Texas. A lot of people don't understand that, So it's such a huge territory. That's why there's so many shows here, but yet they're still 4 or 5 hours apart, from a drive standpoint, a couple hundred miles. But the wave here in Texas, I think it's always been here. We've always got good weather. We've got some access to beaches. They're not necessarily California beaches, but hey, they're not Florida beaches. But we've got some good weather down here. We're warm year round. It inclines people to try to stay in shape year round. So that's one of the things. We love Texas, right? We love the weather. As they say, everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Oh my God, Rob, that's like that in Minnesota too, right? Like there's a lot of fitness, it seemed like there's a lot more bodybuilders there than I had thought of originally.
Yeah, we're a little crazy over here though. Like we do stuff in cold weather.
Yeah. But you notice though, like the states that have like some of the best weather, right? If somebody asks me what are the top bodybuilding states, I probably say California, Texas, and Florida, right? And they've got great weather, and I think those are probably the states that have the most shows, right? If you were to kind of,
I can agree with that, Larry, because summer for me just makes fitness so much easier. You have no problem getting for a walk. You have no problem with, it just makes you feel good to wake up in the sunshine and get out and breathe and move, and it makes you want to move. Whereas wintertime makes you want to stay inside, bundled up, So I agree. The warmer states make sense.
I think we're even starting to see some of the other organizations catch on to that because, traditionally those year-end big shows that kind of come around in November or, late October, November, maybe even early December. Like if they're up north, that weather is hit or miss. But if but if you do those events in Florida or Texas or whatever it might be, you got a good chance of still getting some, 45, 50-degree weather. No snow on the ground, in most places.
Yeah, that's still cold.
That's still
I'm
cold,
so
right?
spoiled out
From a
here.
California, right? It's still cold, right? And
You are.
I'm the same way. I mean, but it's like we're still wearing shorts in November, December. But I remember at the Chicago show last year, Robin, I walked outside and the hawk hit me. Hey, it hit me upside the head. Hey,
He was like, I want to go home.
hey, I had to make some decisions.
It was really cold that day too.
Oh my god.
So, but definitely, it was something else.
And imagine us as the athlete with like 10% body
no.
fat walking around. It's just not a good look for us.
My God. I'm about to say
We were
that's
cold.
I'm very happy. I'm very ignorant to that, may I say? Like, you know what? Real quickly, you know what's funny about this? What we're talking about this. So I grew up in California, right? I joined the Navy and I left for boot camp when I was like 19. It was like my first time really traveling outside of a warm state. And boot camp is in Chicago in March. And it was the first time in my life that I realized that winter scarves are not a fashion trend. And then ski masks are more for just robbing banks. You know what I mean? Like you really need that kind of stuff, like real badly.
Oh my.
And I got to tell you, it was just like, I was like, wow, I have been so spoiled my entire life. And so, yeah, I'm happy I can't relate to what it is below 50 degrees in November. I have no idea, thank God. Thank God.
You're not missing much.
But what's crazy though, Alan, is what's cold to you guys is like heaven for us. So I remember me and my family went to California in March, and you could tell the tourists because we're
Right.
all coming off with tank tops and shorts on, and then you got the people that live there. They got on sweaters and coats. And it's like this is cold for them, but it's like heaven for us. So.
I'm really happy that like when it comes to like wearing things with sleeves or wearing things with jackets, they're more of a fashion statement rather than a need for anything. But kind of go into this, Robin, I know that when you started kind of looking up the events for NFF and speaking about wear and speaking about different attire, there's kind of something unique about the NFF that was a different division that's a little bit not the same, right? Robin, can you kind of enlighten us as to what that federation is? And then, Larry, can you just kind of talk about that as well, Robin?
I apologize, Larry. I might say it wrong. Is it sports?
We call it athletic. Yep.
Athletic.
Yep.
Yes, athletic. It's just called. It's called athletic.
Athletic.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and
I
they
mean,
wear
just-
like a sports bra and like shorts.
Yep, that's correct. I mean, athletic attire. I mean, kind of the whole concept. We had a couple boxes we wanted to check with that division. One, we wanted to give the ladies something different to wear besides the $300-$400, $600 up bikini, the heels. Not every
These cost
ladies
$600?
You're being nice.
What?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
and that's the cheapest.
What?
That's nice, right?
That's
We
nice.
wanted to give them
They're
something
upwards of. I think the highest one I heard was $6,000.
$6,000
Yeah,
for like.
It's crazy.
it depends
And so
on who
like
made
I said,
it.
we wanted to give them a different option, something that would maybe they were more comfortable in, maybe a little bit more modest from a footwear standpoint, a little bit more comfortable. I mean, hell, everybody works out all the time. They're in, tennis shoes and, gym shoes, that type of thing. So the transition to heels was, something that not everybody was comfortable with. And then also a different look, right? A different set of criteria. I was kind of talking to Alan about this. The athletic division has a very, interesting backstory. We started in around 2016. And, like I said, with the league, we've always wanted to be open-minded and let the athletes kind of shape the offering, shape the product. So we really didn't narrow it down and said, hey, these are hard, strict rules and real, a strict framework. We left it kind of open to let the athlete's imagination come out. from an attire standpoint. So we used to let them, have theme wear, and they'd have a prop. They'd have in part of their presentation round, they would use that prop. But then, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. We start to see, I remember we start to see the angel wings kind of come out. We saw more fantasy wear. I saw ponies with tails on them. We saw athletes come out on skateboards and baseball bats and hit baseballs into the audience. And it was crazy. And all of a sudden, I'm just looking over here at my insurance, like, y'all gonna mess up my deposit. The venue not gonna let me come back. Like, we gotta reel it back in,
Right,
guys.
right.
Oh no.
So, we kind of saw where the athletes wanted to go with it, what they liked, what they didn't like. And now we've kind of really narrowed it down, and it's that division kind of in between bikini and figure, right? So we had athletic before we had wellness. We recently brought in wellness, all right? And so that made us have to rethink how we handle athletic, because athletic was that gap between bikini and figure, right? A little bit more muscularity, a little bit more conditioning than bikini. But then when wellness came in, we had to find a way to separate it. So obviously wellness, the ladies are a little bit more quad and glute dominant, hamstring dominant. Well, with athletic, we went more upper body dominant, right? So we're seeing a little bit more back development, more shoulder development, more arm development, the conditioning in the upper body, and a lower body that's not quite as developed. So we have a long-term strategy to try to push some of the ladies up out of that bikini division, have them transition into the more muscular and more conditioned divisions like figure, like women's physique. I'm a huge fan of the women's physique division, but for whatever reason, we kind of struggle with it here in Texas. We go up north, and I see a lot of women's bodybuilding, see a lot of women's physique. But here, I don't know if I've had a women's physique amateur competitor all year long, and it's sad, because that's an amazing division. There's a lot of poses, that can really highlight the physique. But for whatever reason, maybe it's just the demographics, it's the region, it just doesn't quite catch the same. But we know there's a lot of athletes that fit that criteria well. We just have to make a progression plan, or at least a pathway to some of those divisions.
Robin, I'm curious, like, as a female competitor, like how does that register? Like, how do you perceive that based off of what he's saying? Like, I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
I love that idea, because nothing against the bikini girls, they always outnumber all the other female athletes. There's always like a ton of bikini women at every show. And like I said, nothing against the bikini women. This is bodybuilding. So, I mean, we want to kind of make more categories for us, more divisions for us. Me switching particularly to women's physique, I totally understand what you're saying. And I'm switching because I want to grow. I want to grow in this community. Not everybody wants to grow. Everybody likes to stay where they are, but I think that's a great idea. I love the criteria that he listed. More upper body, since they now already have the lower body. It kind of gives everybody a well-rounded look. I think it's great. Something different in your federation than other federations.
And you know what I imagine, Larry, for the people that get to put on a little bit more clothing, don't have to expose themselves as much, and I imagine that probably enables more people to compete when they otherwise probably would not have.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we get a lot of positive feedback that, some of the ladies, they really appreciate the fact that they can wear more modest attire. They say, hey, I really wanted to do this show, but my husband was on the fence, didn't really feel comfortable with me, kind of being out there like that. But athletic, that kind of put the end to that conversation. So we get kind of feedback like that there's a certain demographic of competitors that want to compete. They want to get to the stage, but they just don't maybe feel as comfortable being as exposed as they would be in a traditional bikini or figure suit.
I mean, yeah. How powerful would you feel getting on stage in like what you would wear going to the gym?
Yep.
And that does make people feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do what do the men usually wear for that? Because I've seen some of the female athletes, and I've seen all the array of great looking outfits. Look, ladies, I love them. I love them all. But I'm curious as to like what do men wear for this topic? Oh,
Well, we don't have athletic
okay,
anymore for men, right? So on the men's side, we've got our three divisions. We got men's physique, classic physique, and bodybuilding.
okay,
All right.
That's what I told Alan.
oh,
It's probably men's physique
okay,
for women.
I mean, it's
okay.
kind of funny story though. Like I said, the NFS has always been kind of evolving and trying things a little bit different. When we started out, we really wanted the guys to have to show those legs. So what we were calling men's physique, I guess I'll call it back in 2015, 2016. That's, I guess, equivalent to what classic physique is now. They were in the square cut kind of shorts that highlighted the legs. The guys had to show that. And, we got the feedback. We always have our ear to the athlete community. Some guys are like, "Hey, I don't want my legs out there like that. Give me something different." So we had men's athletic, right? And so men's athletic is kind of what men's physique is right now. But then as time went by, we said, "Hey, look, there's a little bit of confusion, right? NPC was calling it men's physique, but we're calling it athletic." And so we said, "Hey, let's kind of just rename things again, relabel, just to kind of create some consistency with some of the other organizations out there. Because at the end of the day, we want it to be clear for the athletes." And so that's why now we kind of have the standard three divisions with men's physique, classic physique, and then bodybuilding.
Yeah, I've even heard it called beach body at one time when it first came out.
I mean,
No, I did not know
You
that.
didn't know that, Alex?
This is why I love talking to you about
Yeah.
this, Robin. I learned so much.
was
Yeah, please
originally
continue.
called-
Please let me know. Let me know.
It was originally beach body, which makes sense because they're wearing the swim trunks and it was all about it's all about their upper body, not so much their lower body. So you had to look like you were going to the beach body.
yep. That's what we actually called it, right? So the Alamo Showdown, the founder of that event, Miles Stovall, he started, I guess what we called it the Some Beach Body competition. And that was essentially bikini and men's physique as we know it today. But this was going on 15 years ago, way before men's physique and bikini had even been introduced, by NPC. So, we've always had very innovative promoters here in Texas that have kind of kept an ear to the athlete market and tried to put a product out there that athletes wanted to consume, right? And fill a gap.
Something for everybody.
All right.
Something
All
for
right.
everybody.
So
Yep.
this Saturday show for you, Larry, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to this Saturday specific show in Austin, Texas, correct?
That is correct. Austin, Texas. We've got, I think, 4 pro divisions, right? Our pro men's physique division, that's stacked. Pro bikini, that's stacked. Going to be very competitive. Our amateur bikini, it's really loaded as well.
Robin just mentioned, right?
Like, as Robin mentioned, right? The bikini ladies, they're going to show out this weekend. But we've got a very well-rounded show. Some very competitive divisions. I'm just looking for a good experience for the athletes. One of the things we like to do, we've got a breakfast. We've got I guess we'll call it a chef station backstage for the athletes. Yeah,
A chef,
we
a
do
chef
things
station.
a little bit different.
What is? Wait,
you
what
know.
is? What's on this? Oh, I'm going to ask him.
Chef
Damn it, I'm
station.
getting
So-
hungry again. No, what's
so
on this?
with
So what is on this?
Yeah, well, Alan, we're still finalizing the menu, but yeah, we'll have that station backstage for the athletes at finals. So as soon as they're finished with their day, they can go back there, boom, get that meal. That chef is going to chef it up for them. We've got the desserts and all those little things, right?
Larry knows the way to a bodybuilder's
Oh my
heart.
God!
It's through food, right? What better way to end a 16, 20 week prep, right?
Man.
Be able to get that
Ooh.
satisfy that sweet tooth. So
And this is free of charge to the athletes, right?
Oh, this is free. Yeah, this is just going to be back there. I mean, that's the
You're
beauty
looking
of like,
for a reason to do this
Yep.
show.
I,
yeah,
There it is.
yeah.
ooh,
Free
both of you
food.
guys.
Sign me up.
Real quick, both of these. All
So
right, for you guys, because you guys are both competitors. You guys definitely have competed. What is your guys' go-to meal anytime you guys get done with the show?
Dang. I'm a sweet toother.
Yeah.
Because I really literally cut out.
You know what I love?
sugar
Everyone is being so
badly.
reluctant on what they're going to say. Like, if
It's
all right,
about
I
sugar.
got to give the right. no, I'm just saying, you guys are so
I'm a starch
like.
guy. I'll be honest. I'm a starch guy.
Burger
Give
and
me
fries.
like burger and fries. That
My
Yeah.
go-to meal is a cheeseburger with some
Ooh.
sweet potato fries.
yeah.
But I do love the sugar. And speaking of which, the Chi-Town Showdown, they spoiled us. Like, we had a whole area of nothing, but they had a spread. I'm talking about cookies, muffins, just everything. And then they fed us like little sub sandwiches. Like, we had so much food that before we even went to get our pizza, I was full. Like,
Yep.
spread in the back, free for everybody. So when you're done, you can come eat. They had drinks. They had all types of stuff, like energy drinks. Like, Corey hooked us up, for sure.
Yep.
It was nice.
The funny thing about that, right? I'm always on the fence, like to what to get the athletes when you're setting a menu. Is it the sweets? Is it the starchy carbs? Like, what is it? And then it's hit or miss. Some shows the athletes will like hit it and like clear you out, and then other times they're like, nah, they don't want it, and then the food just goes to waste.
We had a lot of leftover at the Chi-Town Showdown. We did.
Oh man.
So my kids hit
Have
it
you,
up.
Larry? Have you gotten any crazy food requests for post show like that?
The pasta bar, like that's always a big hit, right? So when we do that chef station, it's kind of made to order pasta. So we did that a couple years ago, and I mean that was amazing.
Pasta's
'Cause
life.
pasta seems to be one of those things that the athletes kind of
Oh, man.
crave post show.
What do I?
What
Well,
about you, Alan?
first it,
You're a
it
competitor,
was
too.
all right. I'm gonna be venting out my food frustrations right now, guys. I mean, it was gonna be crumble cookies, but I just found out that they've been manipulating the calorie content. Yeah, right.
Perfect
Larry,
segue.
did you know that when Crumble posts their calorie content, it's per a serving size of 1/4 of the cookie? Because you know what people say? Oh man, I'm gonna eat 1/4 of that. Then no one ever, right?
Said no one ever.
Unless you're a psycho, which guys, real quickly, Robin, before we started live, she admitted to me she's that psycho. And it's okay. I still love you no matter what, Robin. But you know what I mean, Larry? Like, I'm just trying to sit there. I'm like, so when you go to Crumble and they have like 170 calories, that's for 1/4 of the cookie. And I just found that out.
Yeah, I don't know who eats a cookie with a knife and cuts it
Right.
in quarters.
It's like,
I've
have
never
you ever
seen
seen
that,
that person
but-
that decides to eat a slice of pizza with a fork and knife? It's the same concept. Who does that? See? But you'll cut your cookie.
fold.
But you'll cut your cookie, though. Like, the cookie.
Hold it. But I have to. I gotta be on point.
Oh, my God.
You know?
Oh,
You don't get these.
damn.
You don't get those from eating them, you know.
Just really had to show
You
your
gotta
guns
be
off and show us off, huh?
calculated.
Like, you had arms day today, huh, Robin? Thanks. You see that?
That's really what that was, a little subliminal,
Right,
right? That was a
right. No,
I
what
saw the
happened? What's
shot,
funny
yep.
about this is like I showed up with a cutoff, and Robin's like, "Oh, you want to wear a cutoff?" And she just showed up and showed me up here real quick, right?
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, right. That's what
what
we're
we're
right
doing?
back.
Okay, I'll be right
I'm
back.
glad. He's like,
Larry didn't get the memo.
Look, Robin, I got a house in chaos. I got boxes. I got medals. I got shirts. I got bags.
Oh,
I
my
got
goodness.
buttons and stuff. I'm trying to just get things in order, to make it to
So-
the weekend.
So, Larry, are you like most promoters that, while excited about the show, can't wait till it's over too?
You know,
It's it's like a bittersweet.
I think so. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, right? I'm gonna shoot it straight with you guys. Yes, because there's so much that goes into it, right? And it's it's not just the day of, right? It's the Friday night, it's the check-in, and everything that goes on after check-in. And like me and my wife, we always have this bet of what time are we gonna get to sleep, the night before the check-in. Like, will we get to sleep before midnight, right? That type of thing. How many hours of sleep we'll get. So
Man.
shows are they're definitely long weekends, right? And then when you're at every show, when you're doing it, multiple times a month or every month, it adds up because everybody still has real life things going on, right? You're still tending to family. You're tending to your full time job, whatever that might be. So we're trying to juggle it all, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's always get past it, but then even when you get past the show, it still takes another week to close out a show because you're dealing with drug testing, or you're dealing with pro payouts, or you're dealing with athlete critiques, and so it's not over after the show. It just begins.
Yeah.
So one of the things we say is big shows have big problems.
Yeah.
Right?
And it gets bigger every year. Does your show get bigger every year?
Yep.
It's a good problem to have, but at the same time, it's.
And so we've done it. I've been there. I've promoted the 130 athlete show, and so that's a long day. The athletes are wish it would move faster. Even the promoters wish it would move a little bit faster. And then it's when you get done, and then you want to make sure the athletes have a good experience, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that they get their time on stage, and then after that, you want to make sure they get quality feedback. Right? So you're going through that whole feedback process, whatever that might be, whether it's send an email or stay after or whatever it might be, you're doing all that, and you can't get it all done in one day.
Yeah.
So it just, it kind of compounds itself. So it takes about a week or so post-show to kind of finally be able to breathe. You're still probably
Recover.
working. Yeah, you're working through media, trying to get pictures out, trying to get video out. And we do a lot of that stuff. If any of the athletes, you can ask the NFF athletes. They see, our staff, they're doing the pictures, doing the video. I do a lot of the video. So after the show, I'm editing video. I'm editing pictures. I'm doing critiques. So there's a lot of just behind the scenes stuff that goes on to really just execute a show end to end.
So, Larry, will there be a live stream?
Not on this one, right? Not on this event. I'm being honest with you guys. The live stream thing, right? Remember when COVID hit, and then we had a lot of the social distancing, or venues had capacity restrictions and all that good stuff. Live stream became big, and it became I guess I want to call it expected, right?
Staple.
But, yeah, it became a staple. But then we also, from a promoter standpoint, we saw a downturn in ticket sales. Yeah, because it became wait a minute, why do I need to even go to the show? And so we want the athletes to actually have an audience, right? You want them to be able to compete in front of people. That's part of the thrill of it, right? Getting that feedback, hearing the audience cheer, hearing your friends and family, give you that feedback. And so we lost a little bit of that. And now that we're kind of a little bit more removed, we're trying to kind of bring that back, But as like I said, as the live streaming kind of came out and a lot of more promoters and leagues started doing it, that was one of the things we started to kind of see. So it's finding that balance of making sure that we have that live audience actually in the building.
Yeah, and what's funny? It's interesting. I never considered that the live audience plays a lot into the energy of that room and the energy of the athletes. Yeah, because when you just pointed that right. Like, yeah, you might watching from a live stream, but there's nothing that compares to the feeling of being on stage. You're already ended the peak week. You're flexing every single time, and you're like, man, where can I get that little bit of extra something to hold this flex for just a little bit longer? And then all of a sudden, you hear someone that you worked out, come on, Alan, quite big a bitch and flex or something. You're like, oh yeah, and I can't be a bitch. I'm gonna still flex. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I imagine if there was a live stream, it would kind of take away from that moment. But yeah.
I mean, the pose down. I mean, think about it. If you had, 400 people on a live, but only 50 people in the audience, yeah, you had a big viewing audience in totality, but a pose down, it's not going to have the same energy, with
Yeah.
just 50 people in the building. So some of those athlete experiences kind of changed a little bit. They were needed, at one point in time, but we're trying to kind of reset back a little bit and find that happy medium.
Yeah. If we can have it in both ways, that'd be great, right?
Right?
More in the audience and then the live stream just for the people that can't
Instead of
make it.
remote. Yep.
No, what we can do is just set up the live stream. Then we'll do like what the NFL used to do, which is pitch in the crowd noise, and I try to make it, right? Maybe
Yep.
you know what,
Jump in the crowd
Robin, you and
noise.
I are loud enough. I think we could just go in there and start yelling. Just I think we could do that. Yeah, see what I mean? See what we got this. And I like.
One of the other complexities with the live stream is like I'm big on music at our shows, right? The music to me plays a huge part.
Oh yeah.
Right. And if you're playing, copyrighted music, you guys know Facebook, IG, whatever, they shut you down, right? YouTube, they shut you down.
Yeah.
So it influences what you can kind of play. Now, if we have a great crew like Alan and Robin kind of come out and commentate, yeah, now we've got some audio over the top. Yeah, you see, we've got some audio over the top, and maybe we can get away with some of those things. But, those are things that you kind of take into consideration, when you're, trying to produce a live stream.
Yeah,
There we go.
You know what the
There we
music
go.
thing. Don't worry about the music real quickly.
Oh.
Just let me. I'm really good at karaoke, so I'll just give me a couple shots of whiskey and I'll do all the music out there. Just, I got this.
I'm not having that.
Me and you both, Alan. Me and you both.
No.
Real quick, Larry, what kind of awards do you offer at the NFF Super Show?
Oh man, we got some awesome NFF medals, coming out. To be honest, I've got some awards that I've been holding for the Tournament of Champions, right? That's coming up, I guess, 5 weeks from the Super Show. We've got some swords that I'm gonna need help carrying in. I'll put
There
it
we
like
go.
that. Yeah.
You got to check a bag when they go home.
You're gonna have to get them mailed to you. If you flew in, they're not letting you fly with it back. So
Oh man.
So we've got some cool prizes, that we try to give the pros when they come through.
That's good. That's good.
And then there, we obviously, we got the check. The check is always good, right?
Secure the bag.
Yeah, secure the bag, right? Hey, do
Secure
not
the
fumble
bag.
the bag at all.
I've always wondered with those swords, like what you have to go through to get that sword passed through. Or let's say someone accidentally forgot to ship it, and they're like, they're going through the scanners, and you see a giant sword in the thing. Like, all right, we definitely can't bring this one through. Oh yes, I love to
So
hear.
I have a really funny story.
Been there, done that.
I won 2 swords at the Florida Pro. My first time ever flying with. I had never won anything like that before. So my silly self was literally coming through. I had to wrap them up. There were these big, huge boxes, and I had to wrap them up so I can carry them. And I was trying to go through regular TSA with these swords. Put them on a belt and everything, and they're going through, and I see the guys at the end, they're all having conversations, they're all crowding around the thing, and they're like, what is that? What is going on? What is it? And then finally they go, whose are these? I'm like, oh, it's me, and I come over there, and they're like, why do you have swords? And I was like, you're going to have to either leave these or take them to check them, and I'm like, I ain't leaving them, they're my awards. They're like, awards? Where'd you get these? I go, I'm a bodybuilder. They're like, oh, I'm like, no. So I'm like, I'll take a later flight. So I ended up taking a later flight and I had to go check. Never checked nothing there in my life. And I had to check these. I don't know what I was thinking, carrying these big old swords. They were like, no, you can't take those on the plane.
And to this day, she's on the no-fly
That's
list.
how Robin had to start busting everywhere across the country.
Yep.
Man, they went home and talked to their wives about me, I'm sure. Man, this chick tried to
Oh
come
my
through
God.
TSA with two
It's
swords.
2023 and you live in Minnesota. I felt like you could identify as a Viking and got away with it. You know what I mean? Yeah, right? Like, yo,
Might have been
my
her best
pronouns
option.
are Viking. Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. You know what I mean? All right, Larry. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, man, talking about your amazing federation and learning
Yes.
about the daring. I'm going to mispronounce the athletic division, right? And
Division, yeah.
anything you want to
Division.
add on, Larry, that you'd like for any of the athletes or anyone else to know about your event or about you in general?
Yeah, I mean, we the Super Show we talked about a lot, but we've got an amazing calendar of events, right? We've got Dallas Showdown, which we mentioned earlier. Isaac Johnson promoted that last year. Big shout out to Isaac for kind of plugging us in, getting us in contact and helping us work that.
Yeah, yeah.
And like you said, he did an amazing job last year promoting that event, knocked it out the park. Being a promoter is sometimes a thankless job. But
I want no parts.
I get it. But he really, knocked that out the park and, needs, those kudos, for doing that, saying and carrying that torch forward. But like I said, we've got other shows as well. Super Show coming up. We've got Alamo Showdown, kind of mixed with the Tournament of Champions. The Tournament of Champions, that's one I kind of want to chat about a little bit because, like I said, we're trying to always do something innovative, right? And so for us, we wanted a format that was head to head, right? We see the chatter in the bodybuilding community. This person wants to go up against this one, head to head. And so we said, well, how can we do that? How can we facilitate that? So we came up with a format kind of with the March Madness style bracket with seeding for the athletes and where the athletes can go head to head and compete. And then you go through all the rounds, right? Quarterfinals, semifinals, and then you figure out who's the true champion for that division, right? So each division, bikini, figure, you name it, has their own bracket and their own seeding, right? And so the pros have been amassing points. We went back to 2017 and looked at all of the pros, competitions. We created a point scale where they got awarded points based off their placing, seeded the pros with the points, and those points not only influence your pro payout as part of our pro rewards program, but they also will influence your seeding. So the pro in that bracket that has the most points has the number one seed. And what do number one seeds get? They get a bye, right?
Wow.
And so that's what we wanted. We wanted a tournament format to kind of go head to head. In golf we have match play, right? We have these other, but we couldn't find anything like that in the bodybuilding space, so we created it. Okay, so Tournament of Champions for pros, that's going to be big. We've got our Masters Championship in Houston. Todd Tanner is promoting that in conjunction with the Poseidon Classic. Pro Masters Championship. We're really looking forward to that one. And then we're going to close out the year with Texas Classic. And we've also got the Chicago show. Corey's running it back again. October 21st, I believe. So we've got a lot of shows on the schedule. One thing that we try to do with the NFF, we want you to have a consistent experience regardless of the show. I don't care if it's a show in Texas, a show in Louisiana, a show in Chicago, Illinois. You're going to get a consistent experience. Okay? And so that's what we strive for. But yeah, so we're looking forward to it and looking forward to kind of getting on the second half of the season now.
I think that's dope. Like, that's what kind of stuff we were talking about, Alan, trying to create.
Yeah.
Who's the best of the best?
That's it. I mean, this is the first year of the Tournament of Champions. I mean, we got feedback, right? A lot of the athletes were like, so is it going to be one and done? Like if I come there from Florida and I get knocked out in the first round, am I done? And, initially that's what we were thinking, but we said, nope, we'll pivot. We'll create, we'll call it a second chance bracket where everybody, that group pool kind of gets to battle it out for third, fourth, and fifth place, So it's not a one and done. So we're
Strategic.
yeah, we're listening. We're listening. We're trying things. You know, we're always open to new ideas as well, right? So you know, the NFF, you know, it should never be taken for being like a boring league, right? We're always going to kind of try to be a step ahead, have a new product offering out there that really intrigues the athletes. So
absolutely, I'm glad we spotlit this organization.
Yeah.
Alan.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, you should have heard the banter me and Larry were having before we started the show. I'm more than happy to have the conversation that we did, and that you didn't lose your deposit during your first kind of event. All right, Larry.
Nah.
Larry, what's your contact information if everybody wants to get a hold of you?
Yeah, if you're looking for us, you can reach me, Larry, at naturalfitfederation.com. More than happy, to answer any questions you might have about our league, about any of our upcoming shows, about our divisions, drug testing, whatever it might be. Feel free to reach out to me, or you can reach out to my co-owner, Todd Tanner. You can reach Todd at dropzonefitness.com. So definitely, we're more than happy to chat with you. If you're a first-time athlete, we have a lot of first-time athletes in the natural bodybuilding space. So we're more than happy to have those conversations. We try to be as accessible as possible.
All right, Larry. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Larry.
Until next time, my man. So,
yeah.
All right, buddy.
Yes, sir. You have a good one. Thanks, Robin.
So anyways, Robin.
You're welcome.
So as we just interviewed Larry on there, I know that you have a couple of athletes for the specific show that you wanted to talk about. I mean,
yeah, real quick. I have a promoter. We kind of highlight Corey Tibbs real quick.
Okay.
I asked him a couple of questions. What made him choose NFF as a promoter? He said it because of the leadership from the owners, Larry and Todd, has created a family-based culture within the organization and gives a lot of support to the promoters. They're also pushing the organization to grow and want promoters to be successful. Then I asked him what sets NFF apart from the organizations that he's known. And he said his first one kind of piggybacks off of the previous question, but it's a different niche.
Niche. It's like quiche with the
niche. Niche, such as the athletic class, which we just talked about. I'm very fond of the class, and all of my athletes love the fun class as well, he said. And I asked him, what can athletes expect during NFF shows? What would he say to an athlete to convince them to do a show? He said he's actually an NFF. He's an NFF pro himself before becoming a promoter, and he can tell you the entire staff made him feel welcome and everything, had a good attitude and professionalism. The culture of the event, he could tell, came from leadership. Not only the culture, but the organization has a great system for the athletes and advance in careers within the organization. From turning pro to world titles to other incentives that keeps athletes motivated to compete and stay within the organization. His experience was, he said, reasoning is that he had a lot of help. The cons are he wished he had more athletes because his show is kind of small. He's still growing. And he says he can see the organization growing larger. I can agree with that because of everything that even Larry just told us tonight. They're doing big things. Things that are different than most organizations. And then he said the only thing that the Chi-Town Warrior needed better from last year was a little better lighting. He said he will be fixing that this year at a new venue, and he wants to keep the show a prestigious show. So each year he will probably change the pro classes, giving the previous year title winner a chance to keep their title, especially if they take time off to grow. Just an idea for now. That's huge because a lot of athletes, they lose their titles, especially when they take time off.
Right.
They get kind of bumped out of the way while they're in their off season. So I think he wanted to do some different things with different.
So real quick,
this show.
I just was going to ask you a couple of the athletes that we know of already that are previously competed and are competing in this. Okay.
Yeah, the one I wanted to highlight
Okay.
is Dina Smith.
Okay.
She's a amateur. She's a bikini amateur for the show. She did her show last year. She didn't win her pro card, and she said that she wanted to continue. She wanted to come back. The question I asked her was, why did she choose an FF? She said what stood out to her the most was that it was a natural show. That was huge to her. That's what attracted her attention. So she went to the website and read more about them. Then I asked her, what does she love about the Federation? And she said she loves how the community, she loves the community. She's thankful to get to know these people. We support, inspire, and help each other to achieve our goals and just simply get better. What would she tell a fellow amateur athlete or about doing the NFF show, and why would she recommend it? She says she actually a lot of people at the gym or here on Instagram are asking me, what federation do I compete? What would you recommend? I always say NFF because that's where I started my journey, and I absolutely love it because it's a supportive and amazing athlete community,
Cool.
and because it's a natural federation. And last but not least, I asked her, why did she choose to try again for a pro card at this organization? And she said because, again, this federation is where she started. She loves that it's natural athletes like herself,
That's
and
cool.
basically everything else that she mentioned before. So she's looking forward to having an opportunity to go for her pro card. She said this weekend. So shout out to Dina.
And then,
Um,
yeah, there's a couple of others.
competing
I
this
think
weekend.
I think Chidozie, Michael. Oh,
That's
Eric
right.
Murphy did previous.
Eric
I'm a
Murphy.
big fan of Eric Murphy, guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Go ahead and talk
Chidozie's
about
getting ready for
Chidozie real
this.
quick.
Yeah, yeah. I hate to give him a
Yeah.
shout out, but I love the guy, and I hate to even admit that. But my boy Chidozie is competing this weekend as well. And you mentioned one of my favorite physique athletes, which is Eric Murphy. I consider him the GOAT, but that's just my GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, we can all talk about who the GOATs are in physique. Okay. All right, cool.
Actually can say he's a GOAT. And while Chidozie is newly on the scene still,
GOAT status
he's
is so
definitely a GOAT
bad.
as well. I mean,
Anyways.
come on.
That's
For
anyways.
sure. Highlighting a little bit about Eric.
Okay.
He's not doing the NFF show this weekend. However, he said he would have if they didn't have a local show, Cowboy Classic, I believe. That he's going to be doing. It's closer to home because it came in between spending money to go to Texas versus staying home, which makes sense. But he said, in a nutshell,
Oh, I.
I should have had you cover this.
All right.
'Cause I don't swear, but I'm going to say this. He said he saw that they had some big donkey, or you can say the other word,
Big A.
big A shows, big A boys. And he wanted to see how they stacked up against in Texas. So, he said everything's bigger in Texas. Murph saw that they had some big boys in Texas. He wanted to see how he leveled up. That's why he did the show. He said he loves the location, the floor of the show, the music. Larry spoke on that during the show, and the judging criteria and feedback was on point. He said he'd tell a fellow pro basically what he just mentioned. And he loves how the promoter and everything else, everything's smooth. Yeah, and he said the location, people, and the
so just like what Larry was talking about.
Those are his words.
My God.
The motherfucking food. Larry was talking about the food. So Eric agrees. And then for the bikini division, there was Lonnie Kuhlman. Real quick, where is hers? Yeah, she is the one. Lonnie did the show last year. Well, she didn't do the NFF Super Show. She did the Dallas Showdown with Isaac. And she said that for the same things that Murph said, it was great community support. She loved how the NFF had a strong support system and they treat everyone like family. And what she really appreciated was how they supported the fact that she was doing multiple shows in one weekend. And they accommodated her to get her to her next show by kind of wrapping things up. I remember she did the NFF, the Dallas Showdown, and the Florida Pro.
Oh, wow.
The same weekend, literally back-to-back days. And I remember hearing that they were organizing because there was a group of them that was doing that show. They needed to go to the Florida Pro, and they put things together to hurry up and get them to the airport. One of the things I appreciated, though, about her comment was that she said, I loved competing in both NFF shows that I did compete in, both Dallas Showdown and the Chi-Town Classic, because the atmosphere screamed competition, and they were extremely accommodating. She said, I did learn, though, that my physique is not what they are looking for, so it would be a stage that I could not compete on again if I plan to win, unless I followed suit and built my physique to their standards. So I guess based on their criteria, she doesn't fit that. And because she doesn't have any, she's not interested in changing how her physique is. She likes the route that she's going. She loves the show. She recommends it to other people, but her personally, she'd go somewhere else with her physique.
Yep. Which, you know,
I can respect that.
As we all know, every federation, it's kind of a blurry line of what they expect for different divisions. And this is kind of just like that. But what I definitely gathered out of this, it's A, there's some big ass people there. B, there's a lot of great music and the atmosphere is just amazing. And C, the food bar right afterwards is quite possibly amazing. And free. Oh, free. Oh my God. And that's so important right now, especially the way the economy's going. Free food is priceless. That's for sure. You know what's so funny? Because it's like you can get like a $5 sandwich, but if you're given a $5 sandwich, it's worth way more than $5. You know, you ever notice that? Interesting, right? Real quickly, of course.
Especially if it's a good $5 sandwich.
I could talk about food all day. Anyways. All right, Robin. So, you know, you brought up, you had an incident on Instagram that you definitely shared, and I thought it was intriguing enough for us to bring on the show and provide a little bit of perspective while we're wrapping the show up. Robin, can you kind of go into that and kind of let's take our take on that message?
I've noticed a lot in my own personal life as an adult. I reason that as an adult, we expect, you know, when you're a little kid, you can't wait to grow up, so people can't tell you what to do and how to move and whatnot. And I realize as an adult that I become easily defensive when I'm corrected, especially by another adult or something else that's going on in my life. And so I was just kind of speaking on how we can change our perspective and practice accountability in a lot of ways, because I just noticed that when someone tells me, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that, or hey, that's not, you know, whatever it is, my automatic response is defense, because I'm grown, you know, I'm grown, and that's the thing people do. And so my ego kind of gets in the way of what's right instead, you know, so I made it a goal for myself to focus more on being accountable and respecting things in a way and trying to just slow down on the defensiveness when it comes
real
to
quick though. Let's talk about
life.
what happened though. Like that even brought up this conversation, because I think it's a lot easier to set in practice of what this theory and theorize of how we can approach things, but sometimes it's real world situations that kind of make it relatable. So yeah, can real quickly just talk about what happened with you that kind of got us into this conversation for sure.
Yeah, so I'm a school bus driver. That's how I make my bread and butter. Like Larry, a regular job. We all are regular people. But I'm a school bus driver, and I go to the school and I pull up, and there's things that we're supposed to do. You know, don't leave the bus idling. Don't park certain places and things like that. But I pull up, I had to pee really bad. I asked one of the staff members outside, hey, can I run inside, use the bathroom? The guy goes, yeah, sure, I'll watch your bus. I go inside, I come back out, my bus is gone. I'm like, where'd my bus go? This guy's trying to explain to me that you can't park there, you got to go down the street and all this stuff. My first reaction was like, these buses are going around. Just make them go around. Flag them over. I mean, this guy was going to watch my bus. What's the big deal? Like, instantly I was irritated. Not about, I guess I focused too much on the fact that my bus was gone. Like, what? They told me we were going to watch it. It's not a big deal. But then I had to check myself while this guy is talking to me. He's valid. I'm not supposed to be there. That's just fact. This guy told me I could, but obviously this guy was wrong. So I had to check myself, and I just calmed down and said, okay, thank you, sir, and walked off. But my natural human reaction was to just be irritated. because
Right.
I've done it before. What's the big deal? Like, leave me alone. But reality check, just not be so defensive. So that's what happened.
And
in
it's
that
interesting
moment.
on how sometimes we're so caught up in our routine and we're so used to doing the same things over and over again that we go on autopilot and don't realize these moments where, hey, even though we've done this so many times and we're so used to it, we can still be wrong in our basic nuances that we end up doing, you know? And it's interesting on how if we don't make ourselves more aware of these instances where, like, you know, we get defensive, we set up on our ego. And I think the one thing that we talked about, Robin, is especially like during what's a peak week, you know, right there, you're right there at the finish line. You're deprived of food. Your odds are you're dehydrated because of, you know, the water take and everything, and we get effectively hangry. And we get in these moments where it does challenge us, like, oh, don't tell me to do this, I'm already with her. Or we'll tell ourselves, I'm in peak week, and we'll victimize ourselves. And, you know, it makes us kind of respond in a way that we otherwise would not respond. But, you know, the reason why I want to talk about this is because there's so many instances like this where we are challenged with our ego, where if we just kind of withdraw ourselves from the situation like you did, Robin, you know, kind of like, all right, well, wait a minute. He does have a valid point. Wait a minute. Am I overreacting? Wait a minute. Am I acting out of emotion? Am I acting out of ego? You know, and it's interesting because it's like, what, 70% of all car accidents happen within like a 5 square mile of where your home is because of the same thing. We go through the same thing over again. We're like, oh, we're in our comfort zone. Oh, we don't have to pay attention anymore. What do you mean I got to, then bam, accident, you know? And it's a depiction of just kind of how if we don't make ourselves aware and be present in almost all the things that we do and take our egos out of it, we could definitely get ourselves into a negative spot, you know? Robin, anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah. Yeah, just checking our ego for sure, because it can get us in trouble. It can, you know, like you said, you got to take yourself out of the moment and kind of just look at it, because like you said before too, with us being in take peak week, for us, we're going to pick on peak week. You know, a lot of people feel entitled or just selfish in the moment because, like you said, victimizing yourself. But remembering we get to do this. No one told you that you had to do this. Someone's got a gun in your head to do this. So not feed so much on our ego about what we got going on in our preps, in our lives. There's always room and time for kindness and respect, no matter what. Like, yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons to ego. You know, sometimes we need that ego to keep us going that week, keep going in that prep, to feel good about ourselves, just a little bit. But when it crosses that line where you're disrespecting people, you're thinking you're better than people, or you get to that point, like you said, like autopilot, where you're reacting out of emotion, which is real easy to do during peak week because you're just, defenses are down. You're just emotional all over the place. But we have to keep that in check. Especially as adults.
Yeah, especially as adults. And that was beautiful, Robin. I don't want to add on to that because that was an amazing way to end this. But Robin, as always, stay on for a little bit. We'll talk. But for everybody else, thank you all for joining us. This has been fun as hell for me so far. And we're just getting started. And I'm so excited to see where this grows. God, it was a great show, right?
It was a great
Larry
show.
is a great guy, by the way. The baseballs. I'm sorry. The pony. I'm watching around a pony and a guy launching baseballs, or a woman, I guess, because it's only one. It's only the women that.
Larry said,
"What's funny is like, I have a deposit. I gotta work about my deposit."
Trying to take my deposit.
Anyways, sorry.
Gotta start signing waivers.
Why am I? What does this random waiver I have to sign at check-in? What is this? I will. Yeah, why does this say no ponies at the door?
What are you talking about?
Anyways, all right, guys, that's it. Until next time, thank you for joining us. But until next time, deuce. Oh my God, that.